behind me, we see some people still coming to pick up their bags, which are now tucked behind this black curtain. Some airports, such as San Diego and Houston, had all Southwest flights canceled, and police were called in to manage crowds. The Better Business Bureau confirms that it's possible that impersonators are trying to take advantage of homeowners who are looking at citizens' insurance online. That is Tampa Bay. It has very low tide right now. They said this is where they're having the biggest outages of all of their customers in Florida. It took 2 months to get all of the data, but we now know that the state received nearly 8,000 complaints related to Hurricane Ian. I mapped the walk on my iPhone Maps app from the closest student's home and found it's a 45-minute walk at 2.1 miles. I then drove the distance. You can see here crossing State Road 54 and down Little Road. TSA has actually increased the fines anywhere from $1,500 to $15,000.
Is this Adam? This is Vincent with Citrus Contracting, Tampa Bay area roofers. I got your number from truepeoplesearch.com.
That's the text Pinellas County homeowner Adam Schwabach got on April 14th at 8:30 at night.
You only pay your insurance deductible for the new roof, which is either $1,000 or $2,500.
Sounds good, right? But Schwabach knows better because he works in insurance.
The way that it's presented, it is so easy for somebody else that doesn't know just to say yes. Okay, yeah, come on out. Look at my roof. And suddenly they're going to file a claim.
Governor Ron DeSantis tried to stop this type of soliciting last year with Senate Bill 76, but due to 2 lawsuits on freedom of speech, these texts are technically legal. I tried calling Vincent at the number that the text came from, but the phone was off. I sent a text, but it never delivered. I then looked up Citrus Contracting. Turns out they have offices all over the state. The office in Tampa is now closed. The main office in Winter Haven is under Total Home Roofing. I'm told they're all merging into Angie's Roofing. I spoke with the marketing director for all 3 companies, and she said they will look into the text messages Adam received. As for Citrus Contracting, they have 39 complaints with the Better Business Bureau, many mentioning solicitation, claiming storm damage, and insurance paying for their new roof.
What is spooky is the minutia of information known about that customer.
Bob Ritchie is the CEO of American Integrity, one of the largest domestic property insurance companies in the state. Remember what Florida Strategic Insurance told me in April?
One insurance company in particular that we write a lot of business with, and speaking with the CEO, was telling us that last year he averaged 26 lawsuits a day for roofs.
That's Ritchie. 26 lawsuits a day. What is the wider scope? How many are you dealing with?
We have 250 employees. Our largest department by staffing and payroll is our legal department.
He says it's been a 7-year battle to sort through the roof storm damage claims coming in by the dozens daily.
Of course there are valid claims. We do our discovery, our adjudication, and some, in fact, are covered.
Most, he says, are normal wear and tear and should not require an entirely new roof under state-mandated replacement cost value. But if they go to court under Florida statute, they're at high risk of paying a fee multiplier 2 to 3 times the attorney's hourly rate.
We see some law firms filing these frivolous lawsuits literally by the thousands. More than 100,000 lawsuits were filed against property insurers in 2021, roughly 79% of all lawsuits in the U.S.
A study commissioned by a political action committee in Florida found of the $15 billion that went to litigated claims since 2015, 8% went to policyholders, 21% to defense attorneys, 71% to plaintiffs, aka roofer attorneys.
I can tell you that many of the lawsuits that come in, we are having to settle.
Have your premiums doubled?
Yes.
Tripled?
Some cases, yes.
We're projecting 30 to 40% average increases this year across the board, with so many homeowners seeing renewals 50% or much more than that.
Ritchie says the solution is simple: actual cash value on roof repairs covered by insurance and guidelines to limit fee multipliers. As for Schwabach, he says regardless of finances, he's going to do things the right way.
I just bought a new house last month, and it's got an 11-year-old roof, and I will be replacing it out of my pocket.
1 month after Hurricane Ian, Bill Doyle's home in St. James City looks like paradise in the Sunshine State. But looks can be deceiving.
When you open the door, you could see sky because the roof there was missing. So that
that was all gone.
Ian took part of his roof, blew out a window, and then continued to dump rain inside of his home.
This is what happens when wood gets wet and dry. You see it expands the caulk line. That means that wall's wet.
But that water wasn't just rainwater.
It's category 3 water, high fecal matter, high bacteria.
Brian Bland runs iMold out of Fort Myers.
It was spinning and picking it up, picking up chemicals, picking up the muck in the bottom of the canal, and kind of dropping it in through our roofs, pushing it through our windows, or flood surging into our homes.
Here's what it looks like. Dark spots like this on a ceiling, and if you pull up a floor tile like Bland advised Doyle here.
And here we have fecal matter, bacteria, and mold.
And Doyle isn't alone.
How many calls are you getting a day?
1,000. And we can't answer them all. People are getting upset.
He's started with his neighbors in St. James City, what he now calls a city of mold.
Everybody, every house.
But here's Bland's main concern.
Insurance companies are pushing back. I understand it's expensive. I understand it's hard to do. But at the end of the day, it's in the report, and it's dangerous.
The only reason Doyle knew about the mold was from hiring his own inspector. I looked through the independent report with Healthy Home Inspections, Inc., and in it, they note finding category 3 water intrusion with a meter from the ceilings to the floors. The report states category 3 water damage can result in illness or even death if ingested and should be removed. I then compared the report with the inspection report from Doyle's insurance company, Citizens. Just looking at the living entry room, the report states only 32 square feet of the 360 square foot drywall on the ceiling needs to be replaced. Tile flooring replacement isn't even mentioned. So I went to Citizens to ask why.
As people are going over the damage of their homes, as they're starting to rebuild, things will come up that weren't seen in the first pass through. So we encourage those people to bring that additional information, to us, to their adjuster, so that we can, respond accordingly.
Bland tells me this is common and it's not unique to any one insurance company. So I pushed for answers. Is it kind of like a thing that people have to do is get this independent report in order to catch that stuff? Because it wasn't caught in the first go around with the adjuster from Citizens?
That's a good question. It's like, again, I guess all I can say is that as we, how our claims process works is if there's additional information that's found, we need to know that so that we can adjust claims accordingly.
He adds that a claim payout can be used to reimburse a homeowner for independent inspections. Doyle has up to $10,000 of mold coverage in his insurance policy, but the remediation job is closer to $30,000. He tells me he shared the reports with Citizens and is waiting to hear back.
My retirement probably just got pushed back a few years.
The moratorium only works if this form is filled out and given to the landlord. So I asked the county clerk just how many people had been court ordered to leave their homes since the pandemic began. 3,327 writs of possession issued in 2020, 1,330 in 2021.
We're approaching 2 months since the eviction moratorium ended, but are landlords actually kicking tenants out?
ABC Action News in-depth reporter Stassi Olmos has been sorting through the legal documents that allow deputies to remove tenants, and she finds that we're not seeing mass evictions yet.
The evictions are starting to go through. We got another 200 that we're doing this in the next 2 weeks.
Attorney Mark Lippman is the man behind the legal paperwork for many landlords across Florida. I've been tracking eviction numbers for months now. Here's an example of what we're seeing. In Hillsborough County, writs of possession were slowly rising until October, when we saw a decrease. But if you look at the actual eviction paperwork filed in court, that rose significantly in the last month, meaning now more landlords are filing.
What do we do? Where do we go?
Last week, we introduced you to Sarah Pasco and her mother facing eviction from their home in Clearwater while waiting on DCF's Our Florida Emergency Rental Assistance. The community law program in Pinellas County also told us they had about 15 clients served eviction notices while waiting on these checks.
Every time I reach out to Our Florida and the client reaches out to find out, can we get a check number? Can we find out if it was cashed? Can it be reissued? These are all questions we've asked. We get the runaround.
In August, ABC Action News found our Florida had only dispersed 3% of the federal rent assistance. We've been asking for an update since November 1st. Checks are going out, but very slowly. In fact, the Clearwater woman that I introduced you to the other week did receive her first checks after our story. Well, it wasn't enough to cover even 1 month's rent. The community law program was able to stop her eviction in court, showing that the judge had 2 or more checks coming on the way in the mail. The Department of Children and Families told me last week that our Florida had distributed about 63% of their emergency rental assistance to more than 100,000 households in the state. Unfortunately, the community law program in Pinellas County tells me since our story aired, they've only gotten more clients who are waiting on checks from DCF.
We actually here in Pinellas County are encouraging new residents that are just now applying to use the county application, because that we're seeing, a faster disbursement of checks on.
So I checked, and Pinellas and Hillsborough counties still have funds. Pinellas County has about $3 million left of their overall $20.4 million. They also expanded their program to qualify anyone who's faced hardship since March 2020. It does not have to be a result of the pandemic. Hillsborough County has distributed nearly $49 million as of today. That's up $10 million since the end of October. And even better news, a county spokesperson also tells me while they still have money available for renters and landlords, they're expecting new funding for the program to come in 2022. So I put links to apply to this funding on our website at abcactionnews.com. I've also added links for legal aid if you're facing eviction while waiting for a check.